I woke up in my husband's bed with a dog on top of me. My body was sore, my mind was blank, and the man I married was standing in the corner, whispering to the animal, telling it to finish so the money would come. My name is Aisha, and I am the girl who stabbed her husband's dog to save her own life. Everyone told me I was lucky to marry a rich man, but they did not know that every time his friends came over, I would black out and something unspeakable would happen to my body. They did not know my father sold me for a Highlander SUV. They did not know my mother poisoned him to stop him from sending me back. If you are hearing my story, it is no longer just mine. It belongs to us now. If any part of it made you feel seen, I beg you, don't let it stop here. Subscribe so I know my story reached you. And tell me in the comments, which part of the world did my story reach you? Let me know where this journey has taken us. Thank you. I grew up in a one-room apartment in Mushin. My mother, Nala, used to sit by the window at night, staring at the empty pot on the stove. My father, Kalechi, would come home with dust on his clothes and nothing in his pockets. I promised myself I would change everything for them. My education was supposed to be the key, the one thing to lift us out of the gutter. When Jide came around, my friends were quick to whisper, "A man like that does not come around twice." My father, too, he believed it. He saw the Highlander SUV before he saw the devil standing in front of him. He was so proud driving that car, not knowing it was the price tag on my body. It was all a curse hidden in expensive clothing. I worked hard in school. That was my ticket out. I knew my education was supposed to be the family's shield, the only thing that could save us. I read every book, passed every exam, and got into the University of Lagos. I told myself that once I graduated, I would get a good job and my parents would never worry about food again. That was my dream. That was the crushing pressure I carried, their entire future resting on my shoulders. I saw myself working, saving, and finally lifting us out of poverty. My plan was solid. I just never planned for a man in a clean car to come and break it. In my second year, I met Jide. My head was still full of notes and the weight of expectation, but there he was. He had a clean car and a bright smile that could melt ice. He just started showing up after my classes. Every day, he'd wait for me outside the lecture hall, just standing there, looking patient. He brought me a new phone when mine cracked, not asking for anything. He was persistent, not pushy. He looked like the answer to all my prayers, a blessing that had come to lift my parents out of Mushin. I didn't see him as a man yet. I saw him as salvation. I told him no for months. I didn't want to break my focus. My future depended on my final year grades. But he kept coming back. He never got angry or stopped smiling. He just said he could wait for me. My friends started asking what was wrong with me. They said I was being foolish, that I was letting gold pass me by. They kept repeating that phrase. A man like that does not come around twice. Even when my mother heard about him, her eyes got that desperate look, full of our poverty. No one saw the curse in the clean car. I finally said yes. How could I say no when everyone was telling me he was my destiny? He took me to nice restaurants, places where the air conditioning felt cold and the cutlery was heavy. He bought me clothes I could never afford, beautiful silk dresses. He held my hand and told me I was beautiful, that I was smart. For the first time in my life, I felt like I mattered, like I was finally escaping the weight of expectation and the shame of our poverty. He treated me like a princess, and I was so busy enjoying the dream, I didn't question the ticket price. The strange part, the part that makes me shiver now, is that he never touched me. Not in that way. He said he was a serious Christian man. He said he wanted to wait until marriage, to respect me and God. He even bought me expensive perfume and lotion and told me to keep myself pure for him. I thought it was sweet, a true sign of a good husband, especially after hearing all my friends talk about bad experiences. He was perfect. He was a perfect lie, giving me every reason to believe he was truly the man who does not come around twice. When I graduated, he proposed right there in front of everyone, making a big show of it. The whole crowd was cheering for me. My parents, who had carried the weight of expectation for so long, were crying with joy. I looked at the diamond sparkling on my finger, and I felt a knot, heavy and cold, settle in my stomach. It was like my body knew something my mind hadn't caught up to yet. But I pushed the fear down and said yes. I didn't know why I was afraid. I only knew this marriage was my family's salvation, and I couldn't afford to be selfish. The wedding preparations were huge. Jide's family was warm, hugging my mother and shaking my father's hand like we were old friends. That's when Jide started giving my father money. Big bundles, not small change. He promised me a car, but my father was looking at that money and smiling for the first time in years. He bought the dream hook, line, and sinker. My mother cried and thanked God, believing her only child had finally fulfilled the weight of expectation and found a man like that. Does not come around twice. She had no idea the cost of our good fortune. The wedding was the most beautiful day I had ever seen. The decorations were gold and white, making the whole hall shine. The food was endless. It felt like a feast for a king and queen, and my parents had front row seats to the spectacle. I wore a dress that felt like a cloud, light and perfect. I truly believed the lie then. Everyone, and I mean everyone, said I was the luckiest girl in Lagos. But as I danced, all I could think about was my father's smile, that he got the Highlander SUV, and that I was finally fighting off poverty with a ring on my finger. That night, I waited for him in bed. I was wearing the lace nightgown Jide bought me. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought he'd hear it from the hallway. When he finally came into the room, I watched him, ready to become a wife. But he just walked straight past, kissed my forehead lightly, and said he was too tired, that it had been a long day. I felt a chill, but I told myself it was fine. The wedding had been huge. I told myself to be patient. I was married to a man my family loved, a man who does not come around twice. It had to be fine. The next night, the same thing. He was too tired. And the night after that, the story was the same. A whole week passed, then 2 weeks. I started feeling sick with worry, like something was wrong with me. Was I not beautiful enough anymore? I started wondering if he even wanted me at all. My education, my beauty, my marriage, it was all supposed to lift us up. But I was failing the only part that mattered. The heavy weight of expectation started crushing me. If I wasn't a good wife, would my family lose the chance he represented? I finally asked him if I had done something wrong, if I wasn't good enough. Jide just laughed and said I was overthinking, that I needed to relax. He told me we had the rest of our lives to be intimate. He smiled, that perfect, bright smile that everyone trusted. But I could not shake the feeling that something was very, very wrong. The marriage that was supposed to be my escape was starting to feel like a cage. I kept remembering what my friend said. A man like that does not come around twice. Maybe they were right. But I was starting to realize that some things are blessings only from far away. One evening, about a month after the wedding, 4 of his friends came to the house. They were loud, friendly, and drinking expensive things. They brought a few bottles of champagne. One of them, a man called Kwame, came into the kitchen. He smiled and asked me to make pepper chicken, saying he heard I was a great cook. The smell of pepper chicken frying in the kitchen became the first trigger. I didn't know it then, but the combination of that smell and the sweet, sharp taste of the champagne was about to ruin me completely. I cooked it, trying to be the perfect wife. I made the chicken, brought it out, and the men insisted I sit with them. Kwame poured me a glass of champagne right away. He said it was sweet, sparkling, and that I would love it. Jide was smiling at me across the table, watching me. I remember lifting the glass and taking a few sips. It was sweet, too sweet and sharp. The taste of champagne, sweet and sharp, right before everything goes black. The room started spinning fast, the gold decorations blurring into nothing. Then, just like flipping a switch, everything went black. I was gone. I woke up the next morning feeling sore, like I'd run a marathon. My body felt strange, heavy, and used. Jide was sitting beside me, smiling, a wide, happy grin. He said I was amazing last night, the best night of his life. He kept saying we finally became one, shouting with joy. But when I searched my mind for a memory, there was nothing. No joy, no intimacy, just a blank space where the night should have been. I tried to push down the rising panic, the awful thought that I couldn't remember the single most important night of my marriage. It was terrifying. I asked him straight up what happened to me. He laughed, a warm, easy sound that should have reassured me, but didn't. He said I must have been really tired from the wedding stress and the champagne hit me hard. He kept dismissing my worries. I felt confused and deeply ashamed. Why couldn't I remember my own wedding night? I kept trying to reconstruct the evening. The smell of pepper chicken frying in the kitchen, the sweet champagne, the blurring gold, but there was nothing there. Just a massive, dark hole in my memory. I started to believe that I was losing my mind, which only increased the pressure of the weight of expectation to be a good wife. A few weeks later, the friends came back to the house. The anxiety hit me hard the moment I smelled the pepper chicken frying in the kitchen. This time, they brought Hennessy. The exact same script played out. The insistence that I drink, the easy smile from Jide. I remembered the awful confusion from last time, but I couldn't risk annoying them. I took the glass. The liquid was strong, but beneath it was that familiar taste of champagne, sweet and sharp, right before everything goes black. My head swam, the floor tilted, and the world dissolved into blackness again. It was a pattern now, but I still didn't understand why.
This time when I woke up, I saw proof. The soreness was worse, and there were marks on my body, bruises I didn't get from sleeping. There was something disturbing on the sheets, but my mind was still completely blank. The black hole had swallowed the night again. I looked at the kitchen, and the lingering smell of pepper chicken frying in the kitchen made me want to throw up. I finally confronted Jide. I asked him why we could only be together when I was unconscious. I asked him why it only happened when his friends were here. The fear was gone, replaced by a terrible certainty. His face changed right then. The kind, smiling man I married disappeared completely. He looked at me with a cold fury that made my skin crawl. He said I was trying to push his friends away, that I was being disrespectful to guests who were bringing him wealth. He stormed out after that, leaving me trembling in the bedroom. That was the moment the expensive costume fell off and I realized I had married a stranger. A curse dressed in expensive clothing, not the blessing everyone says does not come around twice. My desperation to escape poverty had delivered me straight to a monster.
I knew then I had to be ready for the next time they came. I couldn't keep losing chunks of my life and waking up violated. I made a desperate plan. I would pretend to drink, but I would pour the liquid out the moment no one was looking. I had to stay conscious. I had to see what was really happening to my body in the same house where my parents believed the solution to their weight of expectation was being secured. I was terrified, but I needed the truth to survive. I needed proof that the man who bought my father a Highlander SUV was doing something unspeakable. A month later, they came back again, this time to celebrate an engagement. I forced a smile onto my face, but inside I was shaking. I went straight to the kitchen. The smell of pepper chicken frying in the kitchen felt like a warning now. Kwame poured me red wine, not champagne, but I knew the game. Just as I lifted the glass to my lips, ready to execute my plan, there was a huge boom outside. It sounded like a transformer exploding on the street. The windows shook hard. It was the universe giving me a lifeline. All the men, including Jide, rushed outside to see what had caused the noise. They left the glasses right there on the coffee table. I moved fast, heart hammering against my ribs. I poured the entire glass of red wine, the one meant to knock me out, into the potted plant beside the couch. Then I slumped down deep in my chair, closed my eyes, and held my breath. I pretended to be completely passed out, exactly how I'd been every time they'd come over. I was about to find out what really happened when the taste of champagne, sweet and sharp, right before everything goes black, took me away. When they came back inside, I kept my eyes closed, forcing my breathing to be heavy and slow. Jide saw me slumped over and muttered something low to Kwame. I couldn't quite hear it, but then Jide said clearly, "This one, she will just go. It will not be like the other one." My blood froze in my veins. The other one? My heart started hammering again, louder this time. I was no longer afraid of the dark. I was terrified of what Jide meant. All my friends had called him a man who does not come around twice. But what if I was the second one? Jide came forward and carried me upstairs in his arms, laying me on the bed, just like a loving husband would. He pulled the covers up and then went straight back downstairs to his friends. I waited, counting the seconds, trying to keep my breathing shallow. My heart was pounding so hard I was certain he would hear it all the way from the living room. When the silence held, I crept out of bed. I went to the kitchen, passing the scent of the pepper chicken frying in the kitchen. I found the longest, sharpest knife we had, took it, and hid it under my pillow. I wasn't going to be the other one. I was going to fight back. I lay back down and closed my eyes, the knife heavy and cold beneath the soft pillow. I heard Jide come back upstairs, but he didn't come near the bed. Instead, I heard the click of a lock, the back door, the one that led to the yard where he kept his dog, Kofi. A low whine followed, and then I heard it clearly, the sound of claws scratching on the bedroom floor. The dog was in the room, walking towards the bed. My breath caught in my throat. This was the moment of truth. What kind of man brings a dog into the bedroom when his wife is passed out? Jide was whispering to the dog now, petting its massive head, his voice soft, almost loving. I heard him say, "Go do your thing so that when you finish, money will come out." The bed dipped beside me, a heavy, warm weight, the dog's body pressed against my thigh. I smelled the dog's thick coat and heard its loud panting right next to my ear. I opened my eyes just a little bit, and that was when I saw it, Kofi's large shape moving on top of me. The man who bought my father a Highlander SUV was sacrificing me for his money. In that moment, everything clicked. The blurred memories, the soreness, the shame, the gifts, the Highlander SUV, I understood it all. My husband had been using his dog to violate me while I was drugged, while his friends watched. My mind just exploded, the trauma giving way to pure, frantic survival instinct. I grabbed the cold knife from under the pillow, and without a second thought, I thrust it into Kofi's side. The dog yelped, a terrible, sharp sound, and its heavy weight collapsed next to me. I had to live. That was the only thing that mattered. I scrambled out of bed, adrenaline pumping through my body, still clutching the knife. I ran out of the house and kept running in the dark street until I saw the bright, beautiful lights of a police station. I stumbled inside, sobbing and hysterical. I told the officer behind the desk, Officer Zola, my whole story. She looked at me with kind, steady eyes. She said she believed me, but that they needed evidence, real proof to arrest Jide, the man who everyone thought was a blessing who does not come around twice. The next morning, Officer Zola and 2 other officers came with me to the house. Jide opened the door looking completely calm, wearing that bright smile that was always a lie. He told the officers I had a mental sickness and was imagining things. We went inside. The house was spotless, cleaned perfectly overnight. The dog was gone. Jide claimed his dog Kofi had died 3 years ago. There was no blood, no smell, no claw marks, no proof whatsoever. Just Jide, calmly lying, and me, hysterical, standing in the middle of a perfect, empty house that felt like a trap. Back at the station, Officer Zola sat me down and told me she had done some checking on Jide's past. Her voice was low and serious. She said Jide's first wife had died only 6 months after their wedding. I had been married for 5 months. My heart sank. She said something was very wrong, that the pattern was too clean. She believed every word of my story, but she repeated that without evidence, without Kofi's body, she could not arrest a man everyone believes does not come around twice. The law couldn't touch the curse that bought my father a Highlander SUV. My mother Nala came to the station as soon as she heard. When I told her the whole, ugly truth, her whole body started trembling with rage, a fury I had never seen in her quiet self. We went back to confront Jide together, standing in his expensive living room, but he just didn't care. He stood there smiling, perfectly unbothered, and told me to just come home like a good wife. Then the worst part. He called my father, knowing exactly what he was doing. Jide knew my father still saw him as the solution to all our suffering, the key to lifting the weight of expectation. Jide told my father that I was lying, that I had some kind of bad sickness in my head. Immediately, my father called me. His voice was booming, not with concern for me, but with anger that I was threatening his comfort. He said my story was nonsense. He ordered me to go back to my husband, saying my mother and I were trying to spoil a good marriage. He claimed Jide was a good man, a man who does not come around twice. In that moment, watching him defend the man who tortured me, I realized my own father had been bought out by Jide and the promise of a Highlander SUV. The price of my escape was higher than I thought. Officer Zola saw the hopelessness in my face, and she told my mother the problem wasn't just physical, but spiritual. She advised my mother to see a man who understood these deep, hidden things. My mother took me immediately to a wise old man who lived on a quiet hill. The moment he saw me, he cried out loud, saying he saw death following me like a shadow. He told me I only had 3 weeks to live. He said the connection was through my father, and that my father had to come for prayer, or the death meant for me would take him instead. The Highlander SUV was already parked in our compound, a beautiful vehicle waiting to be paid for with a life. My father refused, just like the wise man predicted. He laughed and called this spiritual warning foolishness. The very next day, he came home driving a brand new, gleaming Highlander SUV. He claimed it was a gift from his good son-in-law. My mother and I were horrified. We went back to the old man, desperate. He said the only way to save me now was to transfer the curse onto an object Jide would use, specifically the new car. We had to do a 10-day prayer and sprinkle a special powder in the SUV. But the key was that my father had to make sure Jide drove it. My mother and I secretly sprinkled the white powder onto the driver's seat of the Highlander SUV. We begged my father, please just let Jide drive it once. But he laughed at us, his mind clouded by the false wealth. He drove away himself and came back hours later, the car full of gifts. He said Jide had taken him to a big restaurant, that Jide was building us a new house. He said, drive the car? Why would he drive my car? He told me to go back to my husband the next day. That night, my mother made a special dinner. The next morning, I found my father cold and dead in his bed. The price had been paid.